Hey, it's the Brian and Kindra Show. We are here to give you some practical tips and valuable insight.
I am so proud of you for finally learning the lingo that you guys created for our show.
It's great.
So proud of you. Good job.
Yay.
That's
We
awesome.
have Terry Bryan with us today.
Hello.
Terry Bryan with the City of Woodward.
Yes.
What is your real title?
My official title
Not what people call you.
is, well, you don't want to know. My official title is I am the Director of Community Development.
See, I did not know that. I'm like code enforcement, but the Director of Community Development.
Which
That sounds nice.
Well, it does. It sounds good.
Yeah, I like it. Good for you.
It covers a lot, not just code enforcement. It entails
does.
a lot of different areas, a lot of hats.
I didn't realize that. I really only saw you. I mean, I don't mean you. I only saw that position in one realm and didn't understand how many different things that you touch and are involved in. And it's super impressive. And you do have a lot on your plate. So we appreciate that you took a little bit of time for us.
No, thank you. I enjoy being here.
You know what I'm super excited to talk about first? Cats.
Cats.
Just kidding. Apps. I want to talk about the app.
Apps.
Is there a cat app?
There is.
No,
actually.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about the app. So City of Woodward now has an app.
Yes, they do.
Tell us everything because I think this is so cool, and I use the app.
The app's really great because if you have to activate the notification services, so you can get active live notifications.
Sure.
If there's like a water line down, you'll get an alert on your phone saying water line's out, Knight Street, Oklahoma. But maybe avoid that area, traffic stuff. Also, that gives you permanent
We know where to go
information.
drive and check things out.
True. Like your what they call rubberneckers. People want to drive by and look.
Looky-loo.
Yeah. Or, your contractors or anybody wanting to do some work in their home that requires a permit, they can go on the app and fill out that permit online. And also our app shows the zoning map for the City of Woodward.
Which is so cool.
Yes.
So that's new. So in years past, we've been in real estate since 2002, 2005, whatever. And the zoning map was a little bit harder to get. And then if it needed to be updated, then it took longer.
Yeah.
Like, everything just took longer in the past. We know that. Like just having the ability to have technology has made a huge difference. But for us as realtors, having that on our app is
it's
so awesome.
Yeah.
Like kudos to you guys.
Well, I always tell people too, double check, because that app, I update it, as needed, because sometimes something might happen or there's a mistake. Because I did find a couple mistakes in it and had to change them. And there's a lot of work because we use ArcGIS and to actually modify a map takes a while. There's a lot of steps, so I usually wait till I get 4 or 5 things and just do it all at once.
Right.
Because it might take me 3 hours to do it all.
So putting that into perspective, I mean, if a guy that has a house on Oklahoma and wants to change it from commercial to residential, maybe that would change. Or somebody over here that was A3 and don't want to be A3 anymore, or vice versa. And that might change. It would be ridiculous for you to have to change independently each time. But when you get a handful of them, then you would go in. I can see how that would be.
Well, like for example, we changed some of our zoning requirements, like trailer houses, trailer homes, or trailer parks are only allowed in R3 or R4 zone properties. Before, they were always allowed in commercial, along with R3 and R4. We took them out of commercial, so we have several properties around town, north side and south side, that are zoned commercial, but there's trailer houses in there.
Sure.
So I'm working on changing those zoning to R3 and R4, so those people, if they want to replace their trailer house, they don't have to come in and get a special permit for it. They can just do it. So I'm working on that, and then some areas along Oklahoma, because eventually we want all of Oklahoma Avenue to be commercially zoned.
Right.
From
that sounds
Lakeview
so logical.
all the way out to 60th Street, which most of it is, but we still have some residentially zoned areas that butt up against Oklahoma Avenue. So that's another one.
Sense.
It does.
How about 9th Street?
Yeah, 9th Street, that's on there too. Yeah.
And that's got to
Not
be
so much
tricky on
going
9th
north.
Street.
Right.
Because we really don't have much commercial going north.
Right.
But going south, from
south
Walgreens going south, definitely.
But I can see how that's challenging because there's quite a few residential homes that are occupied. And I mean, they are serving the purpose as a home.
And you can have a single family dwelling in commercial C1 and C2, like a stick built home. You just can't have a solitaire home or a tiny home or a trail house.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Great.
Hey, am I correct? Do I remember, is it hard to get a loan? Are residential loans a challenge in a commercially zoned property?
So for a time we went through, some of the lenders were requiring a letter from the code that said they're allowed.
Okay. So that's
I've done a
obtainable.
few
So
of
this
those,
is
yes.
easy. This is not a big deal. Awesome. Okay. The other thing about the app that I love is it's like the direct way to get to paying my bill.
Correct.
And I think I feel like you streamlined so many things for me by putting out that app. And I mean, you you did it, Terry.
It's
I don't
getting
know who
better.
did it,
Actually, our
but
IT
you're getting all
guys
the
did
credit.
it. But, we were working on it. And Dakota, our IT guy director, he really worked hard putting that together. And it's great.
Well, I think it's
awesome tool.
fantastic. So,
Yep.
So this is another thing that you can just pull up in your app stores of your phones. And is this app, is it available on everything, or is it just Apple's?
Everything.
It's everywhere, right?
Everything. Samsung, all of it.
There you go. So check that out. Is this also a great time for me to put out a shameless plug?
Yes.
Talk about a segue.
Plug.
Hey, did you know that our podcast is actually like on all the podcasts, maybe not all, but on quite a few of the podcast platforms?
We haven't found it not on one yet.
I mean, and my nephew was so excited we're on Spotify, and everybody's making fun of me because
Well,
I'm
how
like,
many are there?
there's like, I don't know, but my nephew got super pumped and pulled out his phone to try to find Kindra, the Brian and Kindra show. He's the cutest. I love him. Okay, all that to say, you can listen to our show if you don't catch us at the time that it airs on the radio. And we love having it on the radio on KLSI. But, did I do the initials wrong? Mr. Brewer's going to get on to me. I meant to say 107.3. Anyway, if you don't catch us live on the radio, recorded on the radio, then you can catch us on the podcast. You can catch us at the brianandkindrashow.com. Also, this is, Brian made me do this. Not really. But if you would be willing to give us a review or to do the little stars, I'm like really like stars. 5, but I understand because you may be totally irritated with me, and so you may only be feeling like a 3 and be like, because Kindra talks too much. Whatever, do what you got to do. But we would appreciate if you would just take a hot minute to do that, whatever platform that you're listening on. So, okay, that's all. I'm gonna move forward. Sorry that I had to take some of your time to do that, but it occurred to me we should be asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought to ask.
Well, I love watching you guys' show and listen to it on the radio. And there's so many times I hear you guys make a comment about something. I was like, I need to call them, correct them, because that's not right. I was like, that's not right. I want to text Brian and say, hey, this is what you should have
text me
said.
immediately.
This is what you should have said.
Do it. Start texting us
I'll
immediately,
do that.
because we're not afraid to make corrections.
Or sometimes you guys have a question you don't know the answer to, and you put it out there. It's like, I know the
Right.
answer to that. Psh, this is what it is,
Yeah,
Brian.
you start telling us.
I do that a lot, especially when I'm getting off work going home. When you're talking on the radio, like, so.
That's hilarious. I want to call you out, but I'm sure it'll be hard to remember which one. But for reals, we're not afraid of that. One of the podcasts that I mentioned in the last show that I listened to, every month she has a correction. Like she has, okay, this month, these are things that I said wrong, or I wish I would have said better. I wish I would have explained more. Man, if you guys want some more of that, call us out. Text Brian. Just kidding.
No, yeah. His number is, no, just kidding.
Yeah, either one of us. I'm sincere though, because we want to make sure that we're giving you the most correct
accurate
information possible, because we want these to be, and we do want practical tips and valuable insights. So 580-216-0090. Don't yell at me, because then I'll give you Brian's number, but definitely tell me what we need to be changing. Okay, moving on, back to you. I did want to talk about cats. So you visited with our office, and like, I'm not super much a cat person. But you are a cat person.
Yes,
You're
I am.
even fostering cats.
Yes, I foster cats. That's kind of some of my therapy, I call it.
And you even said, you're like, yeah, we've got these Maine Coon cats. And I'm like, yeah. As soon as you
Siamese
left, I looked them up.
Oh, did you? They're interesting, aren't
They're
they?
huge cats.
Yeah,
they're big
very
old
good.
huge cats. So then I wanted to know, like, are you the one feeding the cats in the alleyway?
No, I'm not.
Why?
Because it creates a problem. It does create a very big problem.
Okay, so
'cause
it does.
When people do that, cats communicate. Say, hey, come
I
here,
did
you
not
can
think
feed.
this through.
And then before you know it, within a month, you'll have 100 cats going to this one.
Oh, good gosh. So is it against the code?
It's not against the code. It's just something that we frown upon.
It's just
Because,
frowned
we
upon.
really do not have any city ordinances that, includes cats, other than if you have a cat as a pet, it's got to be,
I see.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like
Good thing they yeah. use
cat
cats
food
can
and
run
not-
loose.
Yeah.
There's no ordinance that says you got to keep a cat on a leash or in your house and stuff.
It's a challenge, but I have seen it done.
Yes.
When we did the home show with On Point last year, I saw a dude in the next RV with his cat on a leash, and I thought, well, that's a dedicated owner right
Yeah.
there.
And most cats won't tolerate that. They'll freak out and spaz out, but sometimes they'll be trained to be good. Luckily, our animal control facility is tied with a lot of good rescues.
For
So when
real.
it comes to cats, they're easily able to get adopted out, or
Yes.
Rescues
Yes.
will come and take them, and especially if you get a bunch of kittens that might be sick,
Right.
So, but it's really good. We got a lot of good relationships built that way.
I brought that up because it's funny. It cracks me up. And I did not know you were a cat person. And I thought this will crack him up to know that as soon as you left, I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's why it's important. So I love my dog, and I love a lot of dogs. But I don't really feel like I'm the kind of person that can be a good foster for a dog. Like, I'm not home enough. And why are you laughing? Brian's like, she barely raised her kids.
Yeah.
She can't have any more animals.
You bring
There's
the
some
dog
truth.
to work with you.
I have begged and begged.
That's just what I'm saying. No.
The other day, I actually texted and I said, I know I ask all the time and I'm going to ask again, but thank you for telling me that I cannot have an office pet. So anyway, moving on from that, I'm impressed with having had to call animal control a couple of times for somebody else's dog. And again, like, this was a really kind dog. I am not being like a jerk, like, super sweet, big, sturdy, strong, muscular looking dog. But he got in my backyard. Like, he jumped my fence and he was hanging out with my dog. And she seemed to be a lot more interested in hanging out with him than he was with her. And I was worried because she's this happy, crazy, playful puppy. And he was a very strong looking dog. Man, I wanted to keep him. I loved him. He was so kind. I was giving him all the wubbies. But I called animal control, and this was on a weekend. And bless his heart, I forgot his name. Damon. Yes. I mean, he was there like in a split, and he handled everything very well. And he took this puppy back. And
He's your neighbor.
is he really? Oh, I had no idea.
It's like
That's
6 houses down in
hilarious.
Edgewood.
Yeah, that guy was fast. Okay, well, I explained so many things. All that to say, I always appreciate when I listen to them on the radio talking about the animals that they have at the shelter. I don't know if I'm saying the right words. Correct me as you need. I appreciate the respect that they have for the animals, and that there's always like this caring mentality of, okay, we have an animal problem, and we need to fix the animal problem. If you want to adopt, come talk to us. If you need to do this, come talk to us. If you need to do this, come talk to us. And even to the point that you guys had a spay and neuter clinic recently.
Yes.
I think this is incredible. And I appreciate that the City of Woodward is working with different organizations to help take our animal situation, get it under control, because that's better for everyone. It's better for the animals, and it's better for our community.
Yes, and that spay and neuter program has been great. The last one we had was last Wednesday, and there was 38 animals went through that.
That's incredible.
And that's cat and dogs. Now, there's another spay and neuter clinic that's strictly cats, and it's put on by Say by Whisker, I think, and they do it the opposite month of ours. So it kind of works good. So almost every other month there's like a spay or neuter clinic going on.
And see, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I think that's just really fantastic.
And
Well,
they charge, but it's not very much.
Yes, but what's nice is we have a lot of people that donate, that come in and pay for 2 or 3 slots.
That's awesome.
So, the people out there that are a little less fortunate can't afford to have their animals spayed or neutered.
Right.
Holly keeps a list of those, our animal control supervisor, those
Right.
people, and she can call them and say, hey, I have an opening, you get it paid for, bring your animal in and get spayed and neutered.
I love it.
Yeah, it works out good.
And here's the thing that you said. You said the less fortunate who may not be able to afford. And I think in the past we had some kind of negative connotations that if you can't take care of it, you shouldn't have it. Rah, rah, rah. But you said yourself with your foster cats and with your own, probably you have personal cats as well. That's almost therapeutical for you.
It is.
And I get that. I mean, when I go home, I'll say in the middle of the day a million times, I just need to go home to Tilly Bell for a minute. Like, having that is such a great relief for us in the stressful, crazy world that we live in. So I think it's great the way that the city is trying to help to facilitate an effective way to keep things under control.
Yes.
So, okay, I just wanted to give you a shout out for that. I really love it. I did want to know how many roosters I can have in town.
None.
What?
No roosters.
Oh, well, okay, just
No
checking.
roosters. We are
But
actually.
we can have some chickens. We just can't have roosters,
Can't
right?
have chickens either.
You can't?
Our city ordinance, you can't have chickens.
Oh, I
Now-
legit thought I could have a chicken in
I
town.
did too.
It is something that we're actually
Tilly Bell's a dog.
going to rework. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's something we're working on because I do agree. I think people ought to have chickens.
Sure.
I tell you, the real interesting deal is I've looked at some policy and procedures, some ordinances from other areas involving chickens. Edmonds is phenomenal.
Is it?
Their ordinance regarding chickens is very detailed. They actually make people go to an hour class to learn how to care for chickens.
Awesome.
So that way, they know how to
Sure.
keep them clean if they get sick, because you don't want a bunch of sick chickens in the middle of
No,
the neighborhood
right.
or having problems. But they can only be laying chickens. They can't be any kind of
Sure.
no roosters or
Right.
anything like that. So I think it's a good deal. And
I'll
that's
be
something
honest,
we're
I
looking at.
almost feel bad for bringing that up because I really thought we could have chickens in town.
That's the thing you're trying to correct us on.
That was one of them you talked about. I think here a while back.
Yeah.
Dang it, I didn't. I really thought I thought I read that a long time. Maybe it has changed since I
Yeah.
started real estate. That could be.
Now there are some people that do have chickens in Woodward.
I don't know
but
any that I can tell you about.
because they've had them for a very long time.
Okay.
And they've
There we go.
grandfathered in.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good for them. Okay, well, moving right on because that didn't go where I meant for it to. I
Yeah.
want to talk about permits.
Okay.
When do I need a permit?
That depends on what you're going to do.
Okay, so what if I just need to add GFCI outlets to my bathroom?
Call an electrician and have them come and do it.
Okay. What if I want to remove a wall in my living room to my other living room?
Either you or the contractor can come in and get a building permit for that. Anytime on a remodel, anytime you're taking a wall out or adding a wall, you're going to need a permit.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize you have to have a permit to even put siding or windows in your house.
Really?
Yes.
No, I did not actually know that.
Yep. Yep.
So what about something as simple as like we see a lot of garage conversions where they didn't add or take away anything. They just finished out a garage.
You need to get a permit because I want to go in there and make sure that can be a livable area. Because
Okay.
bedrooms, you have to have a window.
Sure.
And there's certain other criteria you got to have. So I like to make sure it's safe for the people.
Interesting. Okay.
Anytime you're
that's
running
good.
wire or adding plugins or run wire, you should get a licensed electrician and he come in and get a permit.
Okay. Awesome. Did I miss something with that? Or were you?
No.
Plumbing's the same way.
Okay.
And HVAC system the same way. Maintenance work, they don't have to, but they're adding duct work or adding a HVAC system, they need to get a permit.
If they're replacing what's already existing, no permit. If they're adding a new one,
If
permit.
they're adding new, yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when they're replacing something, that kind of falls under the service work. Because
Sure.
they might go in there to work on it. Oh, it's bad. We're going to have to get a new system.
Except for roofing.
Right.
Yeah, roofing's different.
The
You have
roof
to have a
needs a new
roof.
permit.
Yeah.
Every time.
And that makes sense. I mean, that's logical to me because you want to make sure that they're not putting shingles over shingles.
Yes.
Because one layer is the code.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like my dad was my dad is still with us, but he roofed when he was a kid and my grandpa taught him how to roof and he worked for my mom's dad. And then they did their own home and this and the other. And my dad, I remember him complaining, wow, we can't have but one layer and we've always had two layers. Like I understand like this old school thinking. I'm not saying my dad is old school. Mom, please don't get mad at me for that. But she's one of our 12 listeners. Anyway, I know that was kind of the way that we did things for a long time and that's changed. So you probably want to just check on that.
Oh, yeah.
Insurance is where that really starts to hurt us if it's
Yes.
not done properly.
Well, and I also like to look once they strip all the old stuff off, make sure the decking's good.
Right,
Do they need to put
absolutely.
OSB down or the slats,
Right.
the gaps are too wide or something.
Did you hear the story about my little tiny house when I had to have it roofed? Brian handled that for me because I'm not really great at the roofing thing, and my dad wasn't around. Brian told that guy, "Do not
Walk on that roof.
don't walk on it because we
Walk on
needed to
the
replace the decking."
trusses
And he
only.
didn't listen.
First step.
He met my
You
garage.
fell through it?
Fell through. First step.
First step. Was it rotten?
It was.
It was just
Oh.
old.
It was.
It
Meadow
was-
View is particle board.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a particle board,
not even
house.
wafer board, not OSB.
They use
Oh
that for
my
a decking?
gosh,
Particle
they
board?
did.
particle board decking.
Ugh.
Isn't that insane?
That's
But
back in the early 80s.
yeah, and we saw that coming. Like I told
knew
Brian,
that.
there's something funky with that roof. I need to have it inspected. Like we had did all the right things that time.
Yep.
I mean, like I was kind of a stinker even.
Yeah.
But anyway, that cracks me up. Okay, so we need a permit for a roof. Issues that you run into most. I thought this was really interesting when we visited the other day.
Probably the number one issue that, I thought about that after we talked is on the mowing side, people don't realize easements.
Oh
Like
yes,
alley
let's talk
easements.
about that.
They're responsible for half of that alley easement.
Oh,
A lot of people don't realize it. So when it comes to mowing, they need to mow it. And that's probably one of the biggest battles my property maintenance guy has is when he's going down here, they'll mow the front yard, they'll mow the backyard, but they won't mow the alley. So we have to go visit with them.
I'm trying to think. I guess I really haven't had an alley in a long time, but
Like a lot of them on Wheat Ridge.
sure.
Yeah, Highland area.
Highland area.
Some places like Wheat Ridge and Browwood don't have alleys. the properties butt up. But some of them have
Some of them have
easements,
that easement between there, and it's
Sure.
and they don't mow it. They don't touch it.
yeah.
I really hadn't thought about that, actually. When you started talking mowing, I was thinking throwing the mowing debris into the street.
Yeah.
Is that an issue?
Yes.
I mean, not just for motorcyclists.
It's an issue because what happens is we have enough stuff that goes in our stormwater drains. We don't need to add to it. So when it rains, all that grass and stuff will go in our stormwater drains and clog them up.
So is this like a finable offense, or is
Yes.
this just to be smart and be kind?
It can be a finable offense if we have
Okay.
someone that's doing it repeatedly. You know, we warn them one time, 1 week, the next week does it again. We can
Gotcha.
cite them for it.
Okay, so mow the alleys, mow the easements, or at least
And
half.
Do your after.
Yeah, and I've actually talked with some of the local law enforcement, and they're going to help with that this year when it comes to spitting the grass out in the middle of the road.
Sure, because they're going to see it because
Yeah.
they're out there patrolling,
Yeah,
and it's
because
easier for them
they're
to
out here
see.
all day. Because
Yes.
after hours, some people mow late night, run all
Right.
about,
Right.
or even on the weekend.
Sure,
So yeah, it's a team effort.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very much so.
So I know we're kind of running out of time. I want to know any future developments the city's doing that we're improving, other than we're zoning changes and stuff like that.
Well, we have a lot of stuff going on at the airport.
Oh yes, I love that.
We're doing one
Which
of the
some people
renovations.
don't understand that the airport is owned by the city of Woodward, right?
Yes. It's owned by city. It's not in the city limits of Woodward, but the airport's owned by.
Yes.
One of the, I think one of the future goals we have is maybe turn it into an actual charter airport.
That'd be
That would
fantastic.
be so
You know, it's
amazing.
something-
Wish I knew a pilot that would
Yeah. I
wish
move
you
back
did
to
too.
Woodward.
And maybe even having a flight school here in Woodward so they can sustain that. The A4S still going. The city's had to upgrade that building quite a bit, but that part's almost done. So once that kicks off, the recycling plant out there, that's going to be a really, really good addition.
Okay, good. I've heard rumors that it wasn't going to make it.
No, it's going to make it. It's still on track. It's
Sweet.
just taking time.
Awesome.
Taking time.
I know they keep dumping stuff out there. And I think, all right, they're
Yeah.
getting somewhere.
Yeah. And those people
That's a
are
fiberglass
awesome.
recycling plant
That is so
gonna be great.
fantastic.
for the wind turbines.
And they have the patent on that.
That's cool.
So
Way
that's what's
cool.
cool about it. Like not just anybody can.
It's
go
a big
do
deal.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got another one. Do you have time for me to have another one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've noticed there's a trend toward more multi-generational family units living together. But they really want to be doing that in the term of main house for mom and dad, tiny home for adult children, things like that. What is the city's take on a tiny home?
Well, before they weren't allowed because a lot of your
Mm-hmm.
tiny homes aren't built to the International Building Code standard for
Okay.
a single family dwelling. For a storage shed, they're fine. But we since changed some or zoning where a tiny home is allowed in R3 and R4 zoning areas.
Okay.
And all I ask if someone's very interested in doing that, bring me paperwork showing everything that's done to that tiny home meets the IBC. If it meets those standards and I look at it and everything looks good, I'm good for it.
Sweet. But I can't put it in my house if I'm zoned R1
No,
or R2.
no.
But I'm going to ask something because you said if you're going to put it in, show us that, You said put it in. What about building? I mean, what if Brian decides he wants to build a little, 300 square foot house in his backyard for his mom-in-law?
That's fine because that's on that I consider that part of the main dwelling. It's
Okay.
like having a shop or garage back there. You just got to make sure everything meets the IBC for people to be able to stay in there. Because there are several what they call the mother-in-law suites.
Right.
There are several places in town that have those in their
In
backyards.
R1 and R2. So if we build it, R1, R2 is okay. If we're going to bring in a structure, it needs to be R3, R4.
Yeah.
All of
'Cause
the
it's
building
considered
or
mobile.
bringing in needs to be IBC standards.
Because a tiny home typically is considered mobile.
Oh,
they're
gotcha.
on trailers.
Oh.
They're on
Okay.
skids. They're prefabricated. They're done.
See, I can't get into the tiny. I mean, I lived in it. I say tiny home, and I had 975 square feet. But that felt really tiny when you have an adult son and an adult daughter.
Yes.
Just out of high school, like that feels tiny. I can't
Very
understand
tiny.
wanting
Very
to live in a 150, 300 square foot house. But that's just me. Okay, what else? Is there anything else though that you had thought? Man, I want to make sure I get a chance to say.
Well, your mowing season's coming up. And
Yeah.
I tell everybody, keep it below 12 inches. Once
Oh, yes.
it's above 12 inches, that's when people call us. we don't actually go out looking for it because we get a ton of calls.
But the neighbors get frustrated.
Yeah, they get frustrated, so we'll start putting door tags
Sure.
on them and letting people giving people time.
Is there a place to do that on an app?
Yes, we have an email. We have a direct
So I'd
community
be
development
like,
email
hey,
for.
send it to you.
Yep, I get those quite a bit.
Kindra's not mowed her back alleyway.
Yeah,
Send it to you.
I know who turns me in now.
and trash cans. Is
I
another big
panicked a
deal.
minute ago thinking, do I have one? I don't. It backs up to the neighbor.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
But trash cans is another one too. Technically,
Oh.
you're supposed to have lids for your trash cans. Although I know a lot of people don't.
Well, they're trying to feed the cats.
Yeah. Well, what happens is your trash has got to be put in bags, not just throw it in a trash can. So the trash guys, when they pick it up, they can pick the bag up and
Right.
throw a deal. They don't have to pick the whole trash can.
Right.
Or with the lids, animals won't get in there and tear
Sure.
it up.
We need to have a show on trash cans.
Yeah. Well, you need to. I'll tell you what, you get pretty detailed on that.
Yeah.
I tell people too, the 55-gallon metal barrels,
Yeah.
you can't use those.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you're not supposed
I
to
mean,
use those.
they burn better than those though.
You got to poke holes in those. You got to make sure you got the right ventilation.
That's illegal in the state of Oklahoma.
really? Burning trash is illegal in
It is
Oklahoma?
absolutely illegal to burn your
Yeah,
trash in the
I
state of
grew up a
Oklahoma.
little redneck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in
Yes.
town.
Definitely
We
in
did
town.
do it in town.
Definitely in town.
All right. Anything else? I think that's great information.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
There's a
there.
lot of things we could probably sit here and talk about. Just little things.
I know there's so many things moving, and we're seeing new permits being bought, and there's permits for new houses, new businesses. So we're seeing some excitement there.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on, and Woodward feels a little slow to me right now. But I think it's maybe just the weather. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're getting ready to have a surge of stuff.
Let's
Well, like
do
I said,
it.
it feels slow, but you come in my office and see all the permits that are pulled and all the work that's actually going on, commercial and residential. It's pretty surprising.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's positive, very
Yeah.
positive. So
Sweet. So Woodward's headed.
So if somebody has a question for you or about any of the things that we've talked about, what's the best way? And do they contact you personally? Do they just call the City of Woodward? How do people reach out?
Cell phone number is.
yeah, well, a lot of people do have my cell phone number because I deal with contractors all the time.
Sure.
And my policy is even after hours or on the weekend, if they're working on something, have a question, call me
Sure.
because I'll answer my phone.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
But the nice thing now is my office phone rings my cell phone when I'm out of office, so I
Awesome.
don't miss calls because
Sure.
I always hate that coming in on Monday and have 35 missed calls,
Right.
20 messages.
Right.
So your 30 minutes, you're going through all of them, writing these numbers down, all the people you call
Right.
back, where I could have answered the phone and took care of it right then and there.
Sure.
So, but the best way to do is you can either email us or you can call code enforcement, 580-254-8515, and leave a message, or I'll call you back, or come in and visit me.
Awesome.
I have an open door policy.
Perfect.
Awesome. We
right.
really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
thanks for
it.
listening.
We'll do it again.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.